America never announced the end of its vampire panic. There was no final warning, no declaration, no moment where officials stood up and said, "It's over," because the last American vampire was never officially destroyed. He was forgotten, and forgetting can be more dangerous than belief. Let's go back to the beginning of the end. In the late 1800s, across rural New England places like Rhode Island, Connecticut, Vermont, families were being devoured by a merciless killer. They called it consumption. Today, we know it as tuberculosis, a bacterial disease that wasted the body from the inside, turning strong people into shadows, coughing blood until they faded away. But back then, no one knew what caused it. It spread through families like a curse. A mother would die, then a daughter, then a son. Neighbors whispered. The dead weren't staying dead. They were rising at night, living, draining their life force to sustain themselves in the grave. They didn't call them vampires at first. That word felt too foreign, too European. They just knew something unnatural was happening, and the only way to stop it was to dig up the dead. By the early 1900s, something changed. People stopped talking, not because the fear disappeared, but because it became embarrassing. Science had improved. Doctors had names for diseases. In 1882, a German scientist named Robert Koch discovered the tuberculosis bacterium. Knowledge was spreading slowly to even remote farms. And yet graves were still disturbed, quietly, at night, without witnesses. These weren't mobs with torches anymore. By the turn of the century, exhumations became private affairs, just family, maybe a trusted neighbor or doctor. No crowds, no rituals in the moonlight for all to see. Newspaper archives from this period show something strange. Articles begin, then stop. No conclusion, no follow-up. A small notice in a Rhode Island paper might mention a family examining a relative's remains due to ongoing illness, but nothing more. Town. Records mention disturbances without detail. Church logs skip names. History didn't erase the vampire panic. It stepped around it, tiptoed past the graves. Because by now, these stories were relics of a darker age. Urban newspapers mocked rural folk as ignorant, superstitious holdouts in an enlightened America. The practice didn't die with a bang, it faded in shame. The most famous case, often called the last public one, happened in 1892, in Exeter, Rhode Island. It's the story of Mercy Lena Brown. Mercy was 19 years old, a bright, ordinary girl on a quiet farm. Her family had already been ravaged. Her mother, Mary Eliza, died in 1883. Her older sister, Mary Olive, in 1884. Then Mercy herself in January 1892, after a brutal fight with the disease. Her brother Edwin was next, wasting away fast. Neighbors pressured Mercy's father, George Brown, a practical farmer who didn't believe in superstitions, to act. One of the dead is feeding on him, they said. Reluctantly, he agreed. On a cold March day in 1892, with a doctor and even a newspaper reporter present, they opened the family graves. The mother and older sister, bones and dust as expected after years underground. But Mercy, buried just 2 months earlier, in the dead of winter, her body was eerily preserved, skin pale but intact. Hair and nails seemed longer, and worst of all, liquid blood in her heart. To them, undeniable proof. She was the one draining Edwin's life. They cut out her heart and liver, burned them on a nearby rock, mixed the ashes with water, and made Edwin drink it. A desperate cure. He died 2 months later anyway. The Providence Journal covered it, calling it a barbaric superstition. Word spread nationwide. Some say clippings of the story were found in Bram Stoker's notes when he wrote Dracula 5 years later, perhaps inspiring the tragic Lucy Westenra. Mercy Brown became known as New England's last vampire. But was she really the last? Accounts passed down through families describe one last grave. No crowd, no ritual, just relatives. Sometime in the early 1900s, exact dates lost, details whispered a family in a remote corner of New England faced the same horror. Another outbreak, another string of deaths. They opened the coffin not to confirm a vampire, but to end the fear, quietly, in secret. Inside was not a monster, just a body, still, human, silent, decomposed as it should be. No fresh blood, no signs of the undead. For the first time, the old ways failed to explain anything. There was no heart to burn, no ashes to drink, just grief and the cold reality of disease. They closed the grave, said nothing, and that was it. Dracula failed not with a stake, but with silence. Admitting the truth meant admitting something unbearable. That fear had overridden compassion. That grief had justified violence, digging up loved ones, mutilating remains, all in vain. That ordinary people-loving families, church-going neighbors, did terrible things to the dead out of terror for the living. So America moved on, without apologies, without reflection. Science marched forward. Antibiotics would come decades later. Tuberculosis deaths plummeted. But the panic? It just stopped being spoken of. Vampires didn't vanish. They evolved. Now they're hidden threats, invisible enemies, conspiracies in the shadows. The language changed from undead to germs, then to whatever scares us today. The fear did not. Dracula no longer lived in graves. He lived in uncertainty, in the things we can't explain, in the diseases we fear, in the others we blame when tragedy strikes. Dracula never haunted America. America haunted itself. By refusing to admit that fear can be more dangerous than disease. The last American vampire wasn't destroyed. He was buried beneath silence. And silence is where monsters survive. Welcome to Dark Age Diaries. If this story chilled you, subscribe, like, and share.